Good morning, everybody. It is Friday morning, about 10 past 9. I'm running a little bit late this morning because I didn't sleep last night. I don't know about you, but call it, my crystals aren't charged enough. The moon is in Gatorade, whatever. I'm not sleeping. I'm waking up at 2 o'clock, then 3 o'clock, and then 4 o'clock, and then I'm up at that point. So you can probably hear it in my voice, just not sleeping. It's cold here this morning. I've got this wonderful scarf that a client gave to me, brought it back from Peru. It's the warmest thing. It's so soft. All right. How you doing this morning? Let me know in the chat. Jump in the chat, no matter where you are, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Hop in the chat. Let me know what you're thinking this morning. I've got a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. But mainly, this is just a hangout. This is a chance for you and I to get to know each other and to just watch me pontificate. I like using Fridays as kind of like this casual chat, right? When I first started doing Generator, or rethinking how I was doing Generator, and wanting to do more live shows every week, I wanted to do like formal interviews on Wednesday nights and then more interviews on Friday mornings. And it just got to be a little bit too much. And then I realized, like, what am I doing? Honestly, what am I doing? The Wednesday night conversations that I love having, like I did this week with Nino, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Wednesday night conversations I love having. I love getting other professional creators on and just kind of talking about whatever concept. Fridays, I wanted to keep a little bit more casual. I wanted us to be able to hang out because, quite honestly, this can become very performative. And while I'm not necessarily someone that is going to sit in the front seat of my car and just hold my phone up, this is about as close as we're probably going to get right now. I am starting to create a little bit more off the cuff type of content, but it's just not me, man. I'm still learning how to do it. I'd get very uncomfortable just holding the phone and talking to it. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's no different than anything that I'm doing here, but there's just some weird hang up to it. I feel like this makes it feel like I'm having a better conversation. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just how it is. And all right, so people are joining. Hey, Judith. Oh, wow, that's really small. Let's move this one over here. We're going to make this larger. We're going to make this larger on the vertical feed. So if you're watching this going, wow, he's going vertical and horizontal at the same time. Horizontal, big and tall, whatever you want to call it. Ecamm, I mentioned this on Wednesday, came out with a whole new version of their software. It's a beta version right now, but it's allowing me to go and stream live both horizontally and vertically. So I'm horizontal on YouTube and Facebook. I'm vertical on Instagram. But the cool thing is I'm recording all this as well. So on top of being able to stream in different formats, I'm able to record in different formats as well. And that makes content creation so much easier. So instead of just using my phone, right, holding it like this and hoping for the best, I can actually create different scenes here and be recording both horizontally and vertically. And that just makes things like talking. I don't have to send everything to Opus Clips. I can just do it right here vertically. I don't have to reframe it in Final Cut, anything like that. So pretty cool that Ecamm is allowing us to do this now. Yes, there are still some bugs, hence it's a beta. But I did my live show with Nino the other night, and it was flawless for, outside of my own screw-ups, it was flawless for about an hour and a half. Let's see who else is joining us. All right, Judith, what's going on? I don't know why the comments are not staying the size that they should when I bring them on the screen. Oh boy, I'm screwing all sorts of things up. All right, what do you? We're gonna bring those comments back on the screen. Morning, Aaron. So this is something interesting that I'm noticing, is that the comments are supposed to stay basically where they are. And then when they go away, they should stay on the different scenes. So I'm noticing a little bit of a weird bug here that you're witnessing in real time. Okay. So Judith said, let's see. Just listening to most recent podcast got me thinking, need the space that what I really need and want to have is photography business be successful means 4 to 6 clients a month with steady income. All right, Judith, you are really hitting on, so I'm going to bring that back on the screen just to talk about this a little bit more and try to get this comment to be a little bit larger. Can we do this here? It's probably really frustrating watching this happen, but it's important that I get these comments looking correct. And we're back to it again. So maybe I'm doing something wrong. All right. Struggling with the bigger comments this morning. And that's nothing to do with anything other than me. But Judith, great conversation. Thank you for checking that out on Wednesday night, by the way. Michelle, good morning. While we're saying hello to everybody, I don't know why. Maybe it's because they're coming in through different places. I don't know. But this is a little thing that we'll have to deal with. It's really interesting to me. So hence the beta software, right? As I go and test this, typically what happens in Ecamm is if I switch a scene or I go to an overhead camera or I stick on the main camera here, when a comment comes up from one of the audience, whether it's Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, things are supposed to show up in the same space every time. All right, Aaron's worked just fine. All right, Michelle seems to be working. Judith seems to be working. Okay, we can make this a little bit bigger for the bigger comments. So strange little things like that we're working out, but don't let it dissuade you from trying this, right? You don't have to have the comments on the screen. You can just stream like this. All right, enough of getting distracted by the comments. Let's talk about what happened this week. So on Wednesday night, I had a great conversation with Nino Batista, who is, world-renowned photographer as well as retoucher, and been in more magazines and done more editorial work than most people will ever do. He's been in the photography industry for 30 some odd years, as was raised in it with his dad. He's been a pro photographer and retoucher for 17 years. Dude's got some street cred, right? So he and I always have a lot of great conversations about some of the deeper topics. And, when I put out some of the stuff about Evoto Gate a couple weeks back coming out of imaging, Nina reached out to me and said we could have a great conversation about this, and I jumped on the chance. So Wednesday night when we talked about it, we got into not really thinking too much about should AI exist or not. We've all accepted that it's here and it's not going anywhere. Now it's how do we react to it? How do we draw our line in the sand, to quote what Nino was saying? Where's our line in the sand for our ethics, for our morals, for standing up for our clients? What's our line in the sand? What's our go, no go, the non-negotiables that you have when you're thinking, all right, I can use AI for this, but not for this. Or I want it in my art to enhance it, or I'm never going to use it at all. And there's no right or wrong answer here. It's just what you feel about the topic. And it got me thinking. We talked a lot about humanity and authenticity and ethical concerns and how we as artists are utilizing the tools, adapting to it, using it to understand how we're driving our businesses, right? All these different aspects. But one of the things that we really focused on was humanity and getting to know the artist that is creating the image, building trust, right? Building trust, being able to talk to your artist and say, either just give me an AI headshot here, take the picture monkey and make me an AI photo that's good enough. Or you're going to get clients that value photography for what it is and they want something unique to them. They want the experience, right? We're talking about humanity. That's where the humanity of a photograph comes through, where the soul gets captured, where, there's deeper story. A lot of times with AI photos, while technically perfect, they are soulless, right? And we can feel it some way because it's too perfect. And nothing in this world is that perfect. So by embracing the flaws, embracing the imperfection, there's a little bit more depth to the photography. So some people will have clients that want that depth. Some people will have clients that want speed and efficiency. Neither one is wrong. It's a matter of how are you serving those clients or making your art or whatever it is that you do. For me, knowing that the retail side of the photography and the niches that I'm in, personal branding, headshots, commissioned fine art, unfiltered photographs, boudoir, intimate photography. Knowing that many genres of photography are declining just because of tools like this and the ubiquity of access to photography and some better consumer-based tools where professionals are no longer hiding behind a curtain of mystery in what we do. All of these tools are so accessible now that the value proposition is changing. No longer is it that the photographer has to spend all this money and they've got tens of thousands of dollars worth of gear that the normal muggle can't buy. Now photography is accessible by pretty much anybody. So by nature of that, we have to figure out what our value proposition is. Like for me, right, I love doing the unfiltered sessions that I have, right? All black and white, no retouching, same day choice by the client right there of their images. And they always inevitably result in higher sales, right? So most of my clients are coming out of an unfiltered session with about 20 to 40 different photos. And that is in the somewhere between the $3,000 to $5,000 range. Now, am I doing this 5 times a week? No, of course I'm not doing it 5 times a week. Once a month? Yep. I'm getting someone in and we're doing these types of sessions. I love doing it. Why? Because it's incredibly fun. First and foremost, it's just a great time. Secondarily, I get to know my client at a deeper level because all we do is talk and we're basically doing an interview throughout the session. Third, I don't have to do any retouching. Shot all in black and white on my Fuji cameras. Shot all in black and white, and then I don't do any retouching unless there's something glaring, perhaps on a background, or something flies through the frame. I'm not touching anything because that is part of capturing these images. I want people to see themselves exactly as they are and learn to accept that, not an idealized version of themselves. I want them to see them. And there is a lot of doubt at the beginning that I'm going to see myself, I'm going to like myself. But we have to understand that we're in these sessions, we're attaching the emotions that we're feeling to the output, right? So if you're feeling good in this session, you're feeling good about yourself and you're feeling free for the first time and seen and heard, and then you see the images, you can now connect emotionally to those images differently than if you just stood like this and then stood like this and had everything be perfect and then upload it to AI, which is going to give you different backgrounds and different hairstyles. All of that it has its place. But for me, I love the unfiltered stuff, right? Okay. So what I believe is not necessarily what you should believe, right? Let's call this a space. We all have our choice as to what we do in this space. For me, what I find is that people resonate with the images that I create for them in a different way when they are not retouched, right? Because they can see the craft and there's still a little bit of mystery in that photography. How did this human with that little box that I have at home that my husband bought me, 3 years ago that I never touched, how is he able to make images like this when he's just pressing a button. And part of that is the craft. And there's still a little bit of mystery in photography in that way. How do professionals do what they do, right? And I love being able to do that at the same time, draw things out of a person that they hadn't seen in themselves. Now, Aaron's got a great comment here. In this case, that is where I view AI images as a starter for masters to build faster, to prototype or deliver depending on the customer needs and desires. 100%, right? So here's something that happens to me quite a bit. I do a lot of personal branding, a lot of headshots. So people will say, you know, hey, I need new branding shots for my website. I need something for a book jacket cover, and I want me in my environment. And I say, okay, well, where are you located? And they're located 3 or 4 hours away. So I say, you know, you can either come up to the studio where I am in my little rural 700-person town. You can come up here, visit with me, and we'll do it, or I can come to you. Sometimes that's cost prohibitive. It's cost prohibitive for me. It's prohibitive to bring my entire studio or much of my studio on a long road trip to do a couple of shots. That being said, I'll do it. Anyway, with the branding, while I can't necessarily create every single different type of environment in my studio, what I can do is shoot someone on a gray backdrop and composite them into a different background, right? Or I could create an AI background and composite them onto that. They can take a picture of their office. I can composite that. There's a lot of different ways to go about this, and the use of AI as a tool to fill in some of those gaps, I don't really have a problem with. What I have a problem with is where we're altering reality to the point that it's not really a photograph anymore. It's now digital art. Both have their place. Not debating that. I make digital art. I'm not great at it, but I make it. I consider my photography a completely different thing, because in the photography world, I like to stay connected to my clients. I like to be able to interact with them, because now I can feed off of that energy. We can direct the lighting to, you know, properly enhance whatever emotion they're going through. And that's why I introduce comedy and vulnerability and seriousness and real just kind of off the wall stuff when I'm in a session, because I like exploring the range of someone's personality. All right. Anyway, all I'm saying is that we have this great conversation, right? I took all my notes and we went through all these different topics about the ethics and what it means for photographers and retouchers in the industry now. What are we doing? How do we survive? How do we adapt? But we're talking a lot about humanity. Now, I say all that to say this. I was on another call yesterday with Live Streaming Pros, which is Luria Petrucci, who's been in the live streaming and television game for, I don't know, decades at this point. Really good at what she does. Live Streaming Pros on YouTube. Check that out. And we're talking, there was someone in the chat. I wish I could remember who it was, because I would absolutely love to credit this to them. I did not come up with it. But it was the concept of counterfeit humanity. And just that phrase, counterfeit humanity, really got me. Because as I was contemplating what that phrase meant, I started thinking about all the different ways in which we take our humanity and produce a counterfeit version of it. Either because we're too scared to have the conversation with someone, we're too anxious about being that vulnerable with somebody else. So we mask it and we project a different version of ourselves. Then there's also the malicious type of counterfeit humanity, where you have people manipulating emotions. Oh, these are, like predatory behaviors of saying that, they care about you and they want to get close. And then they bait and switch and sell you something completely different in the photography session, or, they make you feel uncomfortable, whatever it is, but it's just not genuine. It's not authentic. And I really like that term, counterfeit humanity. So I wanted to throw that out to everybody that's watching here. What's your concept of counterfeit humanity? Drop it in the chat. I'll try to bring it up on screen. But whether it's this discussion or whether it's something we do in another episode, I like this idea of counterfeit humanity. We talk so much about authenticity and vulnerability and being real and building trust and all of those things. But what we don't talk about is some of the fake, performative, masking, predatory types of humanity, right? Because the more people talk about authenticity, obviously someone is out there trying to say, how do we make money off of authenticity, right? So counterfeit humanity. It was just a concept that I heard about yesterday. I haven't put a ton of thought into it yet, but I loved the term. I want to meditate on that concept just a little bit because I don't know what I think about it yet. I just know immediately it pops into my mind the performative aspects only because I do some of the performative masking myself, right? From time to time. I'm trying to get better at it, but I'm not above it. I've done it in the past. But then there's also the predatory side, the side that people are using it to take advantage of others. And that's really, I think, where I want to dig in because that's what I see in sales practices. That's what I see in marketing copy. That's what I see on websites is this counterfeit humanity. And in this age of distrust with AI, or everything's written by AI or made by AI, where are we? Where are we sitting with all of that? So again, the conversation that I had with Nino earlier in the week, we really talked more about the personal approach to AI and humanity and authenticity and ethics and morals and what are our boundaries, what are our non-negotiables. And I like having that conversation. So that was one thing we were talking about. Let's see. What else were we talking about this week? The interview series. Okay. So if I don't put up topics and think about how I put this show together on Fridays, I'll just keep talking about the same thing and just go off on tangents. So came up with a couple of topics here that I wanted to cover today. So one of them being this interview series that I'm going through right now, which is the 30 days of better podcasting interview skills. And I came up with this series because, and we've talked about it, right? I've already launched it. You can find it on YouTube or Instagram, soon to be on TikTok. But I broke down a lot of the concepts that I use in interviewing and made them into bite-sized segments, 1-minute segments that are coming out every day that are more philosophical in nature. This isn't buy this microphone and you'll be a better interviewer, or get a stream deck or get a better camera. It has nothing to do with that. This is how do you prepare? How do you, create an environment where your guest feels safe? How do you stop talking and just actively listen? How do you do better preparation? What are the things to think about when you're having a better conversation? And I'm learning a lot from it. And let me tell you a little bit about the way that I'm going about this series and what I'm learning from it. So in this conversation about AI, I use Claude as my main large language model to ideate and to refine some thoughts that I have. A lot of times I have too much up here and it's a disorganized mess, right? It's one cloud. It's like Charlie Day in It's Always Sunny, and he's got all these red strings on all these pictures, right? Like the crazy conspiracy theory. That's kind of going on in my head 24/7. So I use AI to help me ideate and organize. And that can be Claude, it can be Notion, it can be a whole mess of tools. But for this series in particular, what I did, and I'll walk you through the whole process, is I took the book that I wrote and the outline, table of contents, all of that, fed that into Claude. And I said, all right, let's summarize this down and give me 30, 40, 50, 1-minute possible segments. Just give me the titles. Don't write anything. Just give me the titles. Let me take a look at what you distill from this. And it spit it out. I think, about 50 quick video ideas. And I went through and I was like, this is junk, this is junk, this is junk, this is great. Sure, we can start there. And I compiled this list of 30 ideas. Then I say, all right, let's go back. And for each one of them, I want you to write 250 words based on all the information that I gave you. Also, my voice and brand guidelines, my philosophies, the way that I speak, the tone of voice. I added in a few more videos that I had done because I want things to sound like me and I wanted it to infuse my ideas, right? I want to give it the ideas that I have that came out of my brain, but just have it organized because I'm not a professional writer. But if I can get the concept out there and it can organize my thoughts in a more cohesive and digestible way, I'm all for it. I have no problem with this. So it spits out a couple of the scripts. I go through and I fix basically every sentence in it until it sounds a little bit more like me. And I'm satisfied with the points that I'm trying to make and that all the information is there. Some of them are great out of the box. Some of them I completely rewrite. It all depends on the topic. But create all of that. Then I feed that into one enormous document. That enormous document then goes over to my teleprompter, which is sitting right above, well, right in front of this camera, but it's not on right now. I feed it all to my teleprompter and I use Ecamm to record it in both horizontal and vertical and go through the entire script. And sometimes it takes multiple takes, but I make one big file. From that, I take that file, bring that over into Final Cut. Final Cut, I then cut it all up into the different takes. I go through, I figure out what works, what doesn't, get rid of the junk, and then I made 30 individual Final Cut projects. For each Final Cut project, I am making sure that the scale, size, color, volume, all the audio is cleaned up, and I use Boris FX Crumple Pop to clean up audio. I go through and I clean everything up. So now I've got a base file. I go into Canva and nope, for this project, I didn't use Canva. I used Dylan Bates Final Cut Bro, the Final Cut Bro, his thumbnail creator. Created a thumbnail for each one of the projects based on a template that I made for the very first one. And then I just applied that in the new titles for each one of the subsequent covers. Now, take all that, put all that together, send it on over to Opus Clips. Opus Clips is now going to give me the good subtitles on these clips. I make sure that everything in Opus Clips is good, download all of that, put that into a folder, go into YouTube Studio, program out the YouTube side, but on Instagram, I hate using the Meta Business Suite. So I just do that on a daily basis. But I've already airdropped everything over to my phone and I just sit there and it's a couple copy and pastes and I get that stuff posted to Instagram. So the way that I use AI is in conjunction to the stuff that's already in my head. I'm not trying to say, hey, make me a funnel to sell my book and write all the copy. I'm not even going to edit it. I just want whatever it is that you produce, Claude, and I'll put it out on a website. It doesn't work like that for me. I like to be able to use AI to make things more efficient for me because it's only me and I only have 24 hours in a day. I'm trying to move quickly. I'm trying to be agile with this business, trying to run Stone Tree Creative, trying to run Generator as a business, and all the other little ventures that I have going on. So what I've learned from all of this, right, in just the 5 days that I've been posting these videos, the cool thing is from getting the video first produced, which I thought sounded great, to then putting it up and then watching reaction to it, it's taught me a couple of things. The first, consistency matters 100%. I think my first video on Monday got something like 70 views, and the next one got like 150, and then it was like 300 by Wednesday, and I want to say yesterday's was at like 400 views, and I'm talking total, right? These are not big numbers, but what I'm doing is I'm training the algorithm that I am consistent on a daily basis, that this is the type of content that is being seen. I'm watching to see analytically where it's being viewed most. Is it on Instagram? Is it on YouTube? Do they like a horizontal version? Do they like a vertical version? Right now, I'm only doing vertical, but this is why I do live in horizontal and vertical. But for this series in particular, I really want to visit what it's going to look like at 30 days and see how much growth there was. Now, one of the biggest things that I've learned is when I was doing all of the recording for these videos, you're always told, I need a hook. I need a great hook. I need a great hook. And you can use visual hooks or auditory hooks or just a good phrasing. And I said, all right, I'm going to use the same hook for every single video for all 30 days because these are all going out one a day and algorithms are going to algorithm. So I never know where someone's going to jump into the series. So it might be that they jump in at day 17. It might be there from day 1. However, because I'm posting to Instagram and YouTube, it also goes out to my Instagram story, right? I have that little checkbox checked in the settings. So it gets posted as a reel, but then it also posts like 5 seconds as a story. Cool. The problem is with this hook, which is most podcast advice is backwards. I've been behind this mic for 25 years, trying to figure all this out, and I'm finally giving you what actually works, right? So that's basically the hook that I used for all 30 videos at the beginning. Problem is, I don't like it anymore. I've listened to it for 5 days and I can't stand it. Get to the point, Matt, right? So I am going back this weekend. Today was the last day that you should see that hook. The first 5 days will have that hook. At this point forward, I'm going to go back and I'll plan to do this today and probably over the weekend, is re-edit the remaining 25 videos, taking that hook out and just getting to the point. So what I may do is just instead of the hook, just put the title screen as like the first few frames for the first second and then jump into it. Maybe I'll do some sort of animated title or some visual hook. But I didn't like having the same exact hook every single day because I felt like people are going to get confused and say, oh, it's the same video that I saw before and not watch the whole thing. So at this point, I'm going to cut the hook off and I'm going to just reproduce the videos, re-upload them. Not a problem. It'll take me an hour. And then see how the reaction is to it over the next week from there. So at the end of next week, I'll reevaluate and see if anything else needs to be tweaked. The reason I'm taking you on all of this is I love learning and I don't really know what I'm doing with this, but the more that I can learn, the more that I can teach you without you having to spend all the time doing this. I get so many of you contacting me about how do I start this? What gear do I use? How do I get a podcast going? What are the things that I need to do to start making my own content? I'm giving you everything that I do. So I like these conversations for exactly that. I want you to see what it takes to grow a channel. I am not perfect at this. I'm trying to learn from some people that do it really, really well. But what I'm finding is they also show up and fail every single day. And that's where the learning occurs, right? So I'm going to head back to the comments just for a second to see what people are saying. And let's see. I think we saw this one. Yeah, Aaron was talking. That's where AI is a starter. And then he also says, interesting term. This is that humanity, counterfeit humanity. We have the visage and motives behind. I think we all have our own morals and beliefs. We know the problem is without those moral beliefs are going to take advantage to the nth degree. Yeah, I'm sorry about the comment on the vertical feed. We all have to decide for ourselves where we're going with any of this. And I don't sit here as a moral police or an ethical police, or I am not, judging you based on your use of AI, because if you're judging me, I just don't care. But from my standpoint, I use it in a way that I feel like is just efficiency. I'm not using it to get over on people, and it's certainly not the foundational cornerstone of my business. I use it as a tool because I don't have assistants. I don't have a team. What other comments we have in here? Michelle, hey, good morning. Thanks for joining me. I haven't really seen you here a whole lot, but if you've stopped by and I haven't seen you, hey, good to see you. I'll probably see you out at WPPI, I hope. And then Aaron's coming in. Aaron, just thanks for hanging out, man. I appreciate this. I love the interaction. So keep the comments coming. So that's really where I was with all of this, the things that I'm learning. I don't like the fact that this hook is annoying me. And I didn't see that at the beginning. I thought I was doing it all right because I thought it all through. I had everything well planned out, and I've been posting these things, and I'm getting more views and I'm getting more followers. Not a ton, but I'm getting followers. And I looked at it and I go, all right, well, if I were watching this for the first time, would I like what I was seeing? Nah, I can do better. So that's what I'll do. I'm just going to change things in real time until I really start to nail this process and nail this this whole venture into video that I'm making and the live streaming. And I want you to see it all. I want you to see it warts and all. So, all right. Hey, got a couple more people here. Good morning, Joe Ellen. All right. So maybe, it's per scene. That's what's happening. So if I put Joe Ellen's comment here, and then I go back to another scene and I bring her comment up, it's going to depend on the scene where it is. Got it. I'm starting to figure out how they did this. And if I go back here and I bring that comment in, it changed again. Man, I think this is a bug. I'm going to have to report this to Ecamm, to Ken and Glenn, because this seems to be a weird little bug. I'm not saying that it's definitely a bug. It could be something that I'm doing, but the way that it works in the regular version is when you bring a comment on screen, when you leave the scene and come back, it should be in that same exact spot, and it's not doing that for some reason. So I'm going to check into that. All right, let's see some of the other comments that are coming in. Good morning. I've been waiting to catch one of these last rug. Chris, I'm glad you're here, my friend. I'm sure I'll see you out in Vegas at some point, but yeah, I'm glad you're here. Let me know if you have any questions, anything you want to talk about. I'm just kind of chatting, drinking my Celsius, letting the caffeine do the good things. All right. So getting back to the topics. We've talked about the stuff that I've learned. We talked about Nino's interview on Wednesday. I'm telling you, so as we talk about the software here, Ecamm, and how I'm using it for the podcast, like I said, I was streaming to multiple places at multiple times. YouTube was getting a horizontal and a vertical feed at the same time, not going through YouTube Studio, not going through their shorts feed. I was going strictly sending two different streams to YouTube so that one would be landscape, one would be portrait, one would be big, one would be tall, horizontal, vertical, whatever you want to say. And what I found is that more people were watching the vertical feed on YouTube than the horizontal. You can just see it in the views. I had 40 something on the vertical feed and I had, 10 or 12 or whatever on the horizontal feed. That was an interesting fact I didn't expect to see. I also rarely, if ever, go live to Instagram, but here I am, right? And what I found was I got way more engagement on Instagram, and I'm even watching it here right now. Quite a few of you are showing up through Instagram. Good morning, Natalie. Let's see where these, see the comment works now. All right. Natalie's here. She's grabbing coffee. So I'm getting a lot of more folks through Instagram, and that's awesome because I never really went live through Instagram. You know the reason why? It's a pain in the ass. It really is. To go live on Instagram when you're not just using your phone is kind of a pain in the ass because you have to open up a browser and then find the stream key, right? Well, you have to create and then go live, find the stream key, take the stream key, put it in Ecamm. Then once you're going live in Ecamm, go back to Instagram, press go live there. So there's this delay that happens in all of this for every other platform, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. Once I press go live in Ecamm, I'm live on those platforms. So Instagram is still just kind of a pain in the butt to do anything, but it's worth it because I'm getting more engagement here, and that's it. I want to have a conversation with you. I don't want to sit here week after week after week and just have you be like, wow, he's got the most amazing modulated baritone that I've ever heard. I want you to have the conversation with me. That's it. So Friday mornings, we're going to try to do this 9:15-ish, depending on how I slept last night. I'd love to do that. Let me know if there's a better time, right? So this whole year so far, January, and I'm going to try it through February as well, is mixing up some of the times of where I'm going live. Right now, the anchor points really are Wednesday nights at 7, because I feel like that kind of covers all time zones and is a decent time of the evening. You might be watching it on TV. I'd rather that. On Friday mornings, everybody's just kind of waking up, whether they're working or not. Maybe on their phone. Even on the West Coast, it's only 6 o'clock there. So people are waking up. I figured 9 o'clock was a good time on the East Coast to hit, the end of the week type of informal chat. So still trying to figure out the times. I'd love to do a Monday show as well. I don't mind doing daily video work, and pretty much I'm making videos every day. But what do you guys want to see? I really do want to work on this with you so that we can build a better community around better conversations, around different concepts, not just business, not just money making, not just lighting or gear. It's all up here. This is the good stuff. This is what I want to talk about. So, see, I knew it. I knew people were here for the right reason. Josh, if you need me to record audiobooks for you, if you need me to narrate your website, you just let me know, my friend. I will walk through it. We'll create. You don't even have to use AI. Just use Matt, and that'll be the name of the model that you use. No, I don't use Claude. I use Matt. I think there's something to this. All right. This is a perfect time for me. Got coffee, headed to the studio, start the day. I appreciate you, my friend. I really do. It's perfect for coffee. This is great. Like, it's not meant to be something that you have to listen to. I'm not breaking a ton of new ground here, right? But what I want to be able to do is have these conversations. All right. What's Joella saying? Nice to have had my coffee in the car. My tractor trailer just pulled up and got a load in. All right. Joellen, say hi to Joe for me. You should be selling. I am not selling a large language AI model based on me, because it's not a large language. There'd probably be 37 words that I use, most of them curses. So I don't know how well that would work for people. But I say I don't want to always talk about business, but what I'm going to talk about business. I'll tell you why. So I was at a local business yesterday. Might have been a dispensary. Who knows? I think it was a dispensary. Anyway, I was there yesterday and talking to the owner, who's buddy of mine, a guy I know around town. And the thing that got me, and it made me laugh, and it made me really humble, and it made me really happy, was just like, oh, dude, I've been seeing all your podcast stuff. Really? And now this is someone who, I interact with on a professional basis, but, I frequent his business, he frequents mine, but, not really close by any means. And we started this conversation about podcasting and about the studio here and about the studio I have in town and video and doing, offbeat type of video for businesses. And I realized that as photographers or videographers or anybody that's good with marketing or social media, there are so many more ways to use the skills that we have than just what has traditionally been the role, right? I talked about this with Nino the other night, where I said, retouching in photography is having a really hard time maintaining business right now. Is there a place for retouchers specifically to guide businesses into how to better use AI on the graphical side? Can they be consultants? Can they be subject matter experts and use the knowledge that they've gained from years and years and years of experience and apply that to the AI world, teaching companies how to better utilize these tools so that their content looks better? I don't see this as necessarily working your way out of a job. I see it as community education, client education, because it puts us, photographers, retouchers, artists, in a unique position to educate our clients on the pros, the cons, the ethical considerations, the moral considerations, the business impacts, all of the facets of AI that we just think that other people get, but they don't necessarily even think about. Why? Because they're not in the game that we're in. So we have the opportunity to drive the conversation and drive what people think about using these tools in an artistic capacity ethically. I've been watching all of these conversations with a lot of different thought leaders: Seth Godin, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Tim Ferriss, a lot of people that have more time to think big thoughts than I do. And they're all saying that the people that are going to be hit hardest by AI are the creative thinkers, right? Not necessarily just artists, but creative thinkers. And it's up to us to be pushing back and just saying, hey, AI is going to dumb down or homogenize all of this knowledge. Here's why it's good. Here's why it's bad. Here's, what to be looking for. Here's what the eye actually sees. We have the opportunity to guide discussions and guide usage, not only with the software companies, but with the people that are using these tools. And I found it really interesting. So like I said, I'm talking to my buddy, and we're talking about how do we utilize video, podcasting, streaming in a different way. And I immediately started thinking about business opportunities, right? We all do. Many of the photographers that are here, that are watching, that might be, colleagues of yours, we're all kind of doing personal branding to some degree. And I think my dog is getting into a paper bag or something, so forgive you if you hear background noise. But we're all getting into personal branding to some degree. We work with brands, we go into their stores, we take, portraits of the owners, we might get them doing their thing behind the counter or at a potting wheel or whatever it is, right? But what about providing this type of service? Giving people a chance to be filmed, right? So I'm not saying you have to be Scorsese or be a big filmmaker, but utilizing the things that we can do to create short form content. If you're live streaming, if you have a podcast, if you have a YouTube channel, what about local business owners? Giving them the opportunity to not only talk to you, maybe get a guest, right? This is what I'm thinking, but then also be able to provide them content for their channels, selling that. Maybe you do a subscription model. Maybe you come up with different packages for local businesses to say, hey, you want to come on the generator, you want to come on Michelle's show or Chris's show, and not only can we have the conversation so you can have a piece of long form content that you can share with your audience, but then we can also make shorts out of it. And if you want 5 shorts, it'll be $500. If you want 10 shorts, it'll be $750. Whatever it is, we can start doing things like that for smaller money that doesn't take a lot of heavy lifting. You're providing a value add to the community, right? And you don't necessarily have to be bringing in big crews to do it. I'm using a regular camera. I'm using a webcam here, which looks really, really good. So you can do things. I can fit all of these cameras and most of this production studio into a backpack and do this pretty much anywhere. What's stopping us from looking at different opportunities to use our skills in ways that we haven't done them in the past, right? I used to work at a TV station And all of these things that we used to do, we'd have people come in and we'd create videos for them and we'd interview them and whatnot. I'm like, why can't I do that with the equipment and the skills and the space that I have now? There's nothing that replaced it when the TV station went away. So why wouldn't I do that now? So it's just got me thinking a lot of different ways. And that only comes from having conversations with people in the neighborhood. How can you reposition yourself differently if you're finding that the business that is your mainstay, right? Personal branding, photography, maybe headshots, maybe fine art, maybe commission work, whatever it is. If that's going down, it doesn't mean that there's no value in it, that it's worthless, that you should give up and try something else. You just might need to think about how you can supplement some of the same things that you do that come from the same conceptual background, but just alter the way in which you do it. And it's being open to that and being able to have conversations, listening to what your clients need that are going to give you these ideas. Now, I haven't fully fleshed this out, but as I'm setting up the other studio to do more podcasting, to do more video out of there, it really got me thinking. I'm like, I could, instead of doing a show here at home, doing Friday morning coffee, I can do a morning show every day at the studio and be bringing on local business owners and getting local businesses to sponsor it and doing things that interest the community or doing things that don't interest the community. I don't know where it's going, but I think we have the opportunity to create these landscapes for ourselves by doing something as simple as this. You got a laptop, you got a webcam, you got a microphone. You can do anything now. So I'm going to head back to the comments here. And let's see, Kelly's in here. Good morning, Kelly. I'm so glad you showed up. Enjoy listening while doing work. Intelligent conversations, such a joy, and they're fun. Man, this is what I think. I don't know who you're listening to that's having an intelligent conversation, but I'm glad that you're here anyway. Can't put you out of a job if the job no longer exists. Right? That's that meme thinking right here. You can't get pissed off at people if you stay home all the time. That's the way that I kind of look at things. If I isolate, I don't have to interact with anyone, and that just makes me feel warm and fuzzy. All right. What else Kelly's saying? Hope you know how inspirational these conversations are. I've literally got all my YouTube channel stuff ready to go, just hyping myself up to record. You're amazing, and I love all your ideas. All right, Kelly, we're going to do this. We're going to do this as a group. Don't hype yourself up. Here's going to be your challenge today. You don't have to post it, but I want you to record something today. I want you to record something because your brain, your artistic brain, your intelligence is off the charts. Stop overthinking this thing and just record. Get it out there. Start working on it. Why? Because I look at it like this, right? I am never going to be on the cover of a fitness magazine because I don't go to the gym as often as I should. Why? Because I'm scared of it. However, when I do go to the gym, that first day you feel like, oh my God, everybody's looking at me. This is awful. I don't even know how to walk on the treadmill. I don't know how to do anything. What do these weights do? Then once you finally kind of get past that, you're like, I'm here. Let me just do the workout so I can leave in 30 minutes and I can say I did it, right? Those are the reps. Because then you're going to go home and you're going to be like, you know what? It hurts, but I feel pretty good. I'm glad I did that. I did something good for myself. And then you go back and you do it again the next day and you're there and you're like, this sucks. I don't like being at the gym. I'm sweaty. I smell bad. That guy's creepy and looking at me. But you know what? I'm doing something good for myself, right? It's the reps. You got to start. You can prep and prep and prep and prep and prep. But if you don't start, then all you're going to do is overthink yourself out of doing the thing in the first place. So I'm here behind you. No matter what it is that you produce, it will be something that the world has never had before. So your voice is what the world needs. And I'm saying this to not only you, Kelly, but everybody listening. If you've been on the fence about any of this, now is the time. Now is the time to start putting yourself out there. Because as we all feel this feeling that AI's taking over and that everything has become slop and everything has become overproduced and it all sounds the same and it all looks the same and we don't know what to believe. We've got to bring back the feeling of building trust between an audience and the person in front of the camera. And we can do that as individuals. We don't have to do that in a performative way. While I may say a controversial thing here or there, this is just me, right? This is just me talking. I don't want to do hot takes. I don't want to, quite frankly, in this whole day and age, I don't want to inject politics in this. Why? I'm not a political expert. And quite frankly, no one gives a shit what I have to say. I'm not changing anybody's beliefs, and you're not changing anybody's beliefs either. What I'm trying to do is just have a conversation, meet at the level where we're all human, right? This is the world that I remember, and I don't know where it changed, but some of the best conversations that I've ever had are with people that disagree with me, and that's followed closely by people that just are open to having a conversation, right? So I say to you, Kelly, specifically, and I'm bringing it back in. All right, everybody else that's not Kelly, just do this. Kelly, you're incredible. I want to see you succeed. Make a thing today. And if you need someone to look at it objectively, send it on over. But do the thing today. Test episode. Give yourself 10, 15 minutes. Record something. Then we'll see how it goes. Get that first rep in, and we'll go from there. All right. Michelle, like you said, you use AI for efficiency. I use it to organize thoughts and planning. It's just me and my dog most of the time, and unfortunately, she can't type. Yeah, I know. If Karma could do my taxes, like this whole season would be a lot easier for me. But the organization and the thoughts, especially for those of us that have a little bit of extra stuff going on up top, being able to organize things in a way that allows me to get the idea out and then utilize the power of Claude or ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatever to enhance that and stop me from using 17 different legal pads. And I just say, hey, can you take this document that I wrote and summarize it into bullet points, find the tasks in it, right? I use this thing right here. This is one of the Plaud notes, P-L-A-U-D, Plaud note. And it goes on the back of your phone. It can record conversations. A lot of times I don't keep it on my phone. I just press this little button and I record here and it'll just record for, as long as I keep it on. And then I press it again and it shuts it off. That uploads to my phone, goes to a private server, gets summarized. And now I've got everything that I just talked about on my car drive down to see my folks. And it's a 3-hour drive. I can talk as much as I want into that. And then by the time I get out of the car, it's all summarized and ready. I throw that into Notion. And now I've got a database of all my ideas, all my thoughts that I can search anywhere. I love using AI for efficiency that way. So if you don't have one of these things, I don't live or die by it. You can use voice notes on your phone, I'm sure, and come up with a shortcut on your phone to send stuff over to Claude or whatever. I like devices. It's that little nerd in me, little kid that just likes devices. So having something physical makes it feel like I need to use it more, if that makes sense, right? You buy yourself a nice pen. You don't just have a bunch of ballpoints laying around. You use the nice pen because you bought it, you invested in it. Same thing with a device like this. Yes, I could use voice memos on my phone, but this has a little bit more power packed into it, and it helps me do my job faster. So efficiency is really what it's all about. We talked about that the other night with Nino as well. All right. Chris is saying, I had a local public speaker see I do YouTube and asked if I can make him a sizzle reel for a speaking personal brand. It went great. Now I'm about to do it for him again. Perfect. I had the same exact thing happen a couple of years ago. There was a coach, an online coach, a speaker who wanted to make some promotional videos for herself for her online business. And she's someone that is a voice actor, but was getting more into keynote speaking. And we rented out a local theater And not only did I do some cool headshots and personal branding of her sitting in an empty theater, but then we flipped it around and I did video of her on stage with all the lights, and it looked like she was giving a keynote. And that's really all that you need to help businesses, right? A lot of times we think, oh my God, we have to do all this editing, and not these days. What you need to do is use your photography skills to apply to video, good lighting, good exposure, right? Basic understanding of functions, focus, exposure, basics about video, right? Which we can learn. You can learn from me, you can learn from Ben Markham, you can learn from anybody. Being able to provide those things, we have the equipment, the knowledge, but most of all, we have the confidence in our equipment to help other people. Right? They're thinking photographer, but what they mean is photographer, videographer, marketer, overall creative. And they're looking at you with those skills. So how can you get over your own fear and your own self to say, yeah, I've got the skills. I can do this and help people. I'm not saying you have to come out of the gate and be charging like a $5,000 a day rate. Do it for $50. Do it for $100 until you learn how to do this and get better at it and start charging for it. Me, I've gotten to the point now where my day rate for video is somewhere in the $1,800, $2,000 a day range. That's the creative fee to hire me to do video at a small business level. I'm not talking a crew. This is still single man running gun. But it also includes the editing. It includes storyboarding, right? It includes using my equipment. I try to make it as easy as possible, but still make a profit, right? I know what it takes to light a basic interview. I don't even need lights. I can use a window. If you know how to bounce light with a V flat or whatever, you can use window light, and it's beautiful for interview stuff. All I'm saying is that you have a lot more capability than you think. And all you need to do is, and I'm not selling here, but what I'm saying, all you need to do is talk to someone like me or talk to other people that do it really, really well in your area. And I'm sure they'd be willing to engage as artists and have that conversation. If they don't, if they gatekeep, they're probably not the people you want to learn from anyway. I just think that we can help each other. I've learned so much from so many other photographers about how to do better things for my business, how to say things better, how to present things better, better customer service, better lighting, better styling, better set design. I've learned so many things from so many photographers, and I'm insanely grateful for that. I'm now trying to give back from the video standpoint. Now, people think that video is a much more complicated beast, but it doesn't have to be. Not these days. Streaming used to be something where you needed a professional studio. You don't need it anymore. I could get anybody going on a really well-made podcast for under $1,000. And if you don't believe me, just get in touch and I'll teach you how. So I think there's a lot that we're not doing that we could be doing. All right, I'm going back to some of the comments. Hearts. I should screenshot that and just be like, all right, so we'll do that. Let's see. Kelly saying, I have my set day for recording next week. No excuses. I'm going to run and allow myself to look and experience today. No one wants to see this mug today. You got a great mug. Put it out there. But I get what you're saying. Believe me, I didn't want to get on. This morning either. Got to look into that. Yeah, Michelle, let me know if you have any questions. Obviously, just all you have to do is call me. Now, love my Meta glasses. Helps me work smarter. Good for sound, great for phone calls, random. So, all right. Now, the Meta glasses are something, and just one more thing. I'll get back to the Meta glasses. Bassam, how are you, buddy? Good to see you, my friend. So, Meta glasses. Just wanted to bring this up. Natalie, I love the fact that you use them, and I'll probably wind up talking to you about them. My biggest concern with Meta glasses is privacy. And I haven't read enough about them to know where my data is going. But Zuckerberg just kind of gross. I found out he bought 1,400 acres up at Moosehead Lake in Maine, which is one of the most like pristine, untouched areas of Maine. He just bought 1,400 acres up there, is building a compound. It just kind of makes me feel squishy. But the Meta glasses thing is just something that I don't know how I feel about it yet. I see it. I see the benefit to be able to just wear something, go hands-free, get great first-person view, right? Same kind of thing if you're doing an overhead shot and you want to focus in a little bit more, like having just glasses that do this instead of having to hook up additional cameras is always, in my opinion, use the best tool for the job. And yeah, we could talk about Mark Zuckerberg all day long. So I think the big issue for me, again, is the security of it. Same way that I have issues with any transcription services that I use for any of this stuff. I'm using a tool called Mac Whisper on my desktop, which does great transcription, but it doesn't send anything out to the cloud. Anytime I can limit what gets sent to the cloud, the better. I would rather do everything on device because I want to be able to control, or at least have the illusion that I'm controlling my own data. I don't ever sit here and think that I'm controlling all my data. I'm just too exposed in too many ways. But I think, being able to keep as many things on device as possible is, it's just, I'd rather do that. And I just don't feel like the Meta glasses are there. I feel like it's going to some dude's basement, like no matter what I'm doing, or I'll forget to turn them off or something. They're going to get me in trouble is basically what I'm saying. It's weird me out talking to someone wearing Meta glasses. It feels like talking to someone holding a camera at your face. I assume everything is being recorded. And this is it, right? So talking about the Plod device, right? Now, this is something that I can take my phone, I can slap this to the back of my phone. Kind of fits there just like a wallet, just using the MagSafe stuff, right? Now, the interesting thing is they've got a mode where if you talk through your phone, not using AirPods, but if you talk through your phone, you can record and it uses the vibration from the speaker of the phone and records the other person's voice. I make sure that when I do that, I tell the other person. Now, Maine is a one-party consent state, so I don't have to, but I like to. I like people to know that I'm recording their stuff. I tell them how I'm going to use it. I tell it where it's going to go, how it's going to be used, but I try to be upfront with that. That way, most of the time I'm saying, I can't remember anything. I want to stay engaged in this conversation, so I'm recording it for my notes. It's not going out anywhere. I'm not publishing this anywhere, but it just helps me stay organized. A lot of times people go, yeah, I get it. Okay, cool. And when I'm in the studio with people and I'm doing a consultation, I'll take this thing off. I'll tell them what it is. I'll press it, put it on the table so they can see it recording. I'll stop it. And that way I can just listen to the conversation and not have to worry about missing any of the very small details because I know they're being captured, especially when we get into ideation and we start designing sessions. We can talk about all sorts of stuff and I know it'll be summarized by using a recording device. Meta glasses, I know that there are some lights that pop on and whatnot, but I know they're also making some that don't have lights now. And they're cheaper and they're more stealthy. Man, I think about this a lot, Josh, about, constantly being recorded. Fact is, I'm being recorded everywhere. My phone is listening to me right now. My laptop is listening to me. I'm putting stuff on the internet. I'm about to be attacked with all the cookies and all the ads. I know that for a fact. But I don't want to have to necessarily contribute to that or make people feel uncomfortable and add to the problem, if that makes sense. All right. Let's bring in a couple more comments. Let's see. Chris is saying, there's a light that shows if they're recording. If you can try to cover that light to hide it, you're recording, it will not record. Even if I hold my hand up, that slightly blocks it. And I kind of get that. Still, I think if I'm talking to a person, I see that light, I'm certainly going to change how I interact with them. It's just, I think, a human nature thing. Flashes a big light on the side where it's recording. You can see it. Yeah, I will tell you, sorry for the indicator light is covered. All our phones are listening regard. Yeah, all of this stuff is absolutely true. We're in a surveillance state, not to sound all tinfoil hattish, but we're in a surveillance state, and it's just something we've gotten used to, which always makes me laugh too about AI and about what people clutch their pearls about. Oh, I never, dude, you've been getting recorded for years. So stop with the act. When I see these stupid First Amendment auditors out there. I'm not saying stupid because the First Amendment is stupid. I'm saying stupid because a lot of times they just go out there to provoke people. But you know what? It's their First Amendment right. If you've never seen these guys, they're all over TikTok. And they go out and they just stand in front of a business and they hold a camera until someone gets pissed off enough that they come out and say, "What are you videoing me for?" And guy goes, "It's my right." And then the guy goes, "Well, I don't want you videoing me." And the guy says, "Well, you're in public. You have no expectation of privacy." And it goes back and forth and back and forth. Cops get called. There are fist fights, right? It's my guilty pleasure. I just sit back and I watch morons on both sides as we watch the decline of Western civilization. But it's fun for me. And the thing about it is we're being recorded so often by so many cameras that we never even see. It just makes me laugh when people are like, "You don't have permission to record me." Okay, tell that to all of the cameras that you've been recorded on since the moment you walked out of your house. And tell that to all the things in your house, your Alexa, your Siri, your cat is probably wearing a GPS device that is recording something, right? We gave up a lot of those rights a long time ago, and we were okay with it. We were the frog getting boiled in water. So save me the outrage now where you're saying, "Well, I don't want to be filmed." You don't have to be a dick about it. Like, yes, you can respect other people's boundaries and not film them. I'm just saying no one has the right in public to request not to be filmed. Just is what it is. I think we can treat each other better as humans and perhaps not film something. But just saying, First Amendment, man, that's a weird one because I'm a staunch First Amendment advocate, but it doesn't mean that there aren't repercussions. It doesn't mean you have to be a bad human just to enforce First Amendment rights. All right, that's a whole different long conversation. Maybe I should do my tinfoil hat conversation at some point and really get into all my weird conspiracy theories about stuff. This is the stuff that keeps me up at night, the things that I sit at home and I go, am I unhinged? Am I unhinged thinking all this stuff? I don't know. I hope there's someone else out there that thinks like me, but it's okay if they're not. I don't wish this on anybody. All right. And let's see. All of our phones are listening regardless. Yep. Would we all be better people if we knew everything we said and did was being recorded and traceable back to us, though? So, it's interesting because this is the principle that I've been basically not shielding myself in, but this is the principle that I've followed since I'd say 1991 and a half, 1992. I was just getting into college. Yep. Just getting into college in 1991, and we had the VAX terminals. Email was just becoming a thing, right? So for years, I'd grown up with Apple IIe computers and Commodores and, had been on Prodigy and been doing bulletin board networks and all that sort of stuff when I was real young. So we're talking, mid 80s when we were working on these bulletin boards and dial-up modems, and it was real early on. And when I got to college and we started communicating with other campuses through VAX machines, right? Email. We didn't have computers in our dorm rooms where we were emailing everybody. You had to go to the computer lab and use the VAX machine and email someone at another location or use the word processors in there or anything. It was a wild time. So even then I was thinking like, this email's going somewhere. When I started working for SitePath, which was acquired by Cisco in the late 90s, And we were basically building YouTube before YouTube. We were building these set-top boxes that were Linux-based set-top boxes that would store video overnight. So you basically, let's say you're Boeing, right? And you want to educate your entire workforce on the new rules and regulations that were going on in Boeing. Well, you'd get a lot of these boxes. They look like little toaster ovens, and you'd send them to all of your satellite offices because bandwidth wasn't a thing. You send them to all your satellite offices, and overnight it would use the T1 lines or whatever bandwidth you had for your office, and it would pull all of that video down to the box, which would then use the power of the local area network, which was a lot faster, to distribute the video for all the training. So you weren't clogging the bandwidth that you had coming into the building. You were using the power of the local network, right? So this was YouTube before YouTube. And even then, we were making videos and feeling like maybe I don't want to put all my information out there, even when we were running tests, because we knew the power of where some of this would go. I've always lived under the understanding that everything I say is being recorded, that it can be manipulated, that it's going to live forever on the internet. And knowing those kind of guardrails, I've been able to, I think, dodge some of the landmines of personal embarrassment. Because if I think it's worth it to put it out there, I will, but I'll do it in such a way that it's never emotionally fired off. I'm never just throwing something out there that I can't take back, because once it's out there, right? Look at any politician these days. Once it's out there, it's out there. And there's some person somewhere that is going to dig far enough in the past to find something to use against you. I know there's stuff out there for me. I know there is. But I've really tried to be conscious of the things that I say, the stuff that I put out, probably to a fault where it's not as authentic as I'd like. But these days, I'm now, older, wiser, ZFG, right? I'm just at this point where I don't care anymore, because I know that there are things that we need to talk about that are uncomfortable, but I'm never going to do it in a way that's disrespectful to whatever person I'm talking to. But we need to start putting all of our opinions out there for whatever it is. If you shoot Sony or Canon or Fuji or a potato like Nikon, like whatever it is, you can say the thing and there will probably be some level of conversation that happens. But I don't like hiding my opinions. What I do like doing is conveying that opinion in a more respectful way, right? Not everything needs to be a controversy. And quite frankly, you don't have to be right about everything, because you know why? You're not right about everything, no matter what you think. So all that being said, if we just took a step back from our emotions and just thought about what we're putting out into the Ethernet, maybe we can make this a better place. All right, let's see. Have I ever heard about the demise of Vimeo and the layoffs and eventual death of the platform? You think it'll affect creators? Is Vimeo still a thing? Right? So to answer your question, Sam, no, I haven't heard about this. I haven't been studying it. I had a Vimeo Pro account for years that I totally forgot about. And when I started really moving to YouTube and realized that I had been using Vimeo, the one reason I had used Vimeo was that you could replace a video. Let's say you upload a video and it's great, and then you notice that you made a spelling error in one of your titles. Well, you could replace that video with a new version and not lose the URL. So you wouldn't have to go out and change all the links on all the websites. I loved that about Vimeo, and it's something that YouTube never put in place. If YouTube put that in place, it would be chef's kiss, perfect, because every time you take a video down from YouTube and you put it up, brand new links, your links are all broken. You got to go back and fix everything. Real pain in the ass. So no, I haven't heard anything about Vimeo. And I'll just kind of bring the comment up so people can see it again. The eventual death of the platform. Do I think it will affect creators? I think everything is affecting creators right now. There are camps. You've got people that are all in on AI, and they're pushing the boundaries of AI that will eventually overtake not creators, but real creative thinking, right? And this is what I'm worried about. There will always be a subset of society that is making things, not reacting to things, not being just middle management. They're actually thinking up the ideas and making stuff. Those are the creators. My fear is that those creators will become so dependent upon the tools and will master the tools of how to manipulate them and how to make whatever it is that they're making, that they'll forget about the critical thinking aspects of it. They'll forget about the creative thinking aspects of it, because they'll just say, hey, I want to make a cool new device. And I'm just going to tell Claude that I want to make the cool new device. Now, Claude is going to do all the coding, and it will spit out the thing that you wanted to create. Doesn't mean it's the best version. It doesn't mean it's the most thoughtful version. It might have features that accomplish the task, but are they the right features at the right time? So there's a critical thinking aspect that goes along with creative thinking that I'm worried about it being lost. Now, I don't know if that answers your question about Vimeo, but in terms of the death of the platform, I think I don't hear anybody talking about Vimeo anymore. I don't find people posting Vimeo anymore. I don't see it any different from Vine, or pick any one of the million video platforms that have been out there. But kind of like Highlander, there can be only one, right? And YouTube is kind of the place. So even with Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and WhatsApp and like all of the different tools that we use on a daily basis, YouTube is now a verb. I YouTubed it. I Facebooked it, right? You've got these platforms that just rise to the top because they become ubiquitous for one reason or another. I think Vimeo tried to hold on so long to being the pure artistic video platform that they kind of missed the mark. They were great for like course distribution. They were a very secure platform for course distribution, right? That's what a lot of SBE stuff, the Sue Bryce Education, there were a lot of platforms that were just using Vimeo for distribution of coursework and modules and whatnot. And it was great, but it's not enough to sustain the business model when you have YouTube that can kind of do similar things. And yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard too much about it. You're going to make me look into it now. You know that. I'm going to go down that rabbit hole after this call. But yeah, I think a lot of these platforms need to rethink what it is that they're offering and either double down on exactly what they're doing and only do that instead of trying to be the same as every other platform out there, like specialize in one thing instead of trying to be a master of everything. Or, they'll just continue to waste people's money. I don't know. But I haven't thought about Vimeo in a really, really long time. Connor McLeod of Clamor Cloud. There can be only one, man. If the Kurgan comes in the form of YouTube or Facebook or whatnot, it is what it is. Side note, Henry Cavill, I guess, is in a remake of Highlander. I can't wait to see this. I think that's going to be great. So, all that being said, I just realized that I've been doing this for like an hour and a half, and you guys have been hanging out with me the whole time. I could do this literally all day long, but I do need to get into the studio. I've got people renting the studio tomorrow for a line dancing class, believe it or not. So I need to go in and make sure that everything's clean and dusted and vacuumed and set up so that this group of women can come in and learn how to line dance. It's really kind of a cool thing that's happening. But that's happening most of tomorrow. We've got a huge storm coming in, so I've got to go get some gas for the snowblower, make all my preparation for that. But I love this. All right, so we're going to kind of just go back 1 second and kind of recap where we've been today, right? We talked about the podcast series and the things that I'm learning about producing a series. You're going to see a small change to the 30-day series of podcast interview skills. And just so you know, if you go into the podcast interview skills, if you go any one of them, there's a link in there to get a free podcast prep guide. If you're going to be a guest on a podcast, just go get my guide. It's like 5 pages. It's super easy. There's a link in there. Follow that. Go join the email list. Get your freebie and help me out, right? Spread the word on this stuff. We talked about Nino's interview. That's up on YouTube now. But if you want to hear more and you just want to get into the audio stuff, you don't want to go on to YouTube, that's perfectly fine. The version of it will be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all the audio podcast platforms by Monday. So that'll be coming out on Monday. You can get the audio version, and it's just the live version that we did the other night with the intro trimmed off because there was junk at the beginning. We talked about the concept of counterfeit humanity, and I'd love to know your thoughts about what that concept and that term of counterfeit humanity means to you. Let me know in the comments. And then we talked about finding business opportunities by adapting, not so much from the AI standpoint, but just talking to people around you, and especially if you're a photographer that wants to dabble in video, how we can use some of these skills to help the people in the community. There's a million ways to do it, so why not do it? But anyway, guys, Kelly's saying, enjoy your day. Thanks again for the conversation. They're hugely impactful. You don't know how much it means to me to hear you say that. This is why I do this. I'm trying to have these conversations, and I want this to kind of be a thing. If you guys dig this enough and you want me to do it more often, if you give a shit about what I have to say, then I will absolutely do this more often, either in the morning or in the evening. Tell me what works out better for you. I'm going to be playing with the timing, but tell me what you want to see. You guys are here. You're more important than the people that aren't. So you tell me what you want to see. And yes, of course, Michelle, I'm happy to do this. Anytime you want to link up, just you let me know. But all right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I could not be happier to be doing this. I love having these conversations with you. So let me know what you want to talk about. Let me know who you want to see. Oh, and before we go, again, WPPI is coming up. Tell me how you want to see the show done. What do you want to see on the show? Who do you want to see there? What kind of conversation you want to have? I got about 45 minutes on stage. I want to do a live show, but tell me if you got ideas and you want to talk about a specific subject while I'm on stage, or you have a specific guest in mind, let me know who that is, and I'll see if I can make it happen. I want to do this as a community. I want to build this group together and start reshaping some of the way that we push this industry forward. It's a big, lofty goal, but I want to do it. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. Judith, I can't believe you stayed here the entire time. I appreciate you so much. And yeah, Chris, I'll see you out in Vegas, man. It'll be great to meet you in person, and I'm sure we'll have a great time. So, all right, guys, that is it. I appreciate you all. Be on the lookout for the audio version of this week's conversation about AI in photography and retouching. That will be out on Monday, and then I'll be back on Wednesday night with something else. I don't know. We'll just kind of keep doing this until it hits. All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a great day. Be safe this weekend, and I'll see you next week. Take care.